Yeah, that's a great question. Hot take. I don't think real estate's in a bubble per se. I think apartments are. I don't think single family is, but that's a later discussion.
Well,
I am super hot on a certain sector, and it is
no, no, no. You
it
can't
just
pass over that. You can't pass over that,
all
Caleb.
right, all right, we can go over it. I mean, okay, if we look at how appreciation should work for real estate, it's like 3% annually every year. However, since 2008, if you look at the rates of these properties, they've been stagnating. They've been significantly less than that 3%. If you add the last year and a half in, it now averages out to 3%. On top of it, if unless we get the situation where these builders just don't look around their entire neighborhood and realize everyone else is also building to keep up with demand, which they're not because they need permits, right? Then at that point we'll see like, oh, so many houses built with not enough demand, but we're gonna have the demand match supply by next year. Will we see prices decrease? Absolutely. We're bottlenecked right now. A lot of things are having prices decrease. We saw lumber go down so much, and that's going to cause the prices of houses and building houses go down as a result. But I don't
My,
see the single family housing market collapsing unless we have a situation similar to 2008, which isn't allowed anymore. So that's my
so
hot take in there in a quick sense.
I live in Philly, and I think Philly's a really good example of a lot of big cities that are poor primarily. Um, Single family homes are rented so much, right? Like, yeah, of course,
Right.
apartment complexes are as well, but like the neighborhood that I live in right now, a majority of these families who are multi generational rent because they don't. It all comes back to education, right? We don't need to go too deep down that hole, but like they just
Yeah.
never learned to just finance, do FHA loan, and like
Yep.
slowly pay for your
Exactly.
house. The problem is, and someone feel free to take this from me, but we are going to be what's happening in the next month. That's like going to cause mass evictions.
Oh, you're talking about the moratorium? Yeah. That I mean, that's the thing I'm only concerned about, because the thing is like the moratorium, it's not like we're pushing all these missed payments to the end of the schedule. They're all dumped in immediately. And who has like $10,000 lined up to pay, if not more? So we are going
Nobody.
to see a huge wave of evictions. Don't get me wrong.
And then
But I just think
Nobody
the demand is still there to hold up.
Everybody dumped. That's why that's not. That's why your take on it. Not. I'm going to be the opposite side of it. I'm in the industry. I'm in the building and real estate industry. Um, Everybody spent. You're totally right. Everybody spent all of their money that they were supposed to save up to pay off their mortgages, to pay off their leases. They spent it on Robinhood, on Bitcoin, on options plays, on Amazon, on shit on Amazon. They blew their money. There's going to be a shit ton of evictions. There's going to be a ton more homelessness. And that's what's going to drive the prices down. And also to piggyback on top of that, your single family lot in the Northeast has gone up 100% in the past 9 months. It went from
It's not
$150,000 an acre.
100%. It's 45%, and it's a
Dude,
year and a half.
all right. So it went from $150,000 for an acre on the Cape to $300,000 for an acre on the
It
Cape.
varies. It varies by state.
It varies. It varies significantly by state.
Correct. But I'm talking about higher end. I'm talking about where people are buying the $1 million houses and the $600,000 houses and so on and so forth. Material has not varied by state. That has gone up 80% since January. And yes, the lumber prices are starting to come down a little bit because of the supply that
already times. I mean, they were so high up for them to come down a little bit. It's like saying Tesla came down and was worth $900 a share post stock split.
Yeah, exactly. So in my part of the industry where my millwork is, we don't see anything coming down at all, ever. Because there is a demand there and the supply is not meeting the demand and it's
But
going to
the
take
demand's not going to be there
Yeah,
forever.
it's not going to be there
So
forever.
People are leaving the cities right now. This is a very cyclical thing that happens every generation. Right now, we're seeing the millennials leave the cities in the same way that a few years back they entered the cities and gentrified these cities, and housing prices went up in there. And there's
yeah.
not going to be a constant supply of millennials leaving the city. And on top of it, COVID has exacerbated this leaving as itself. And it's not just millennials; it's a lot of people leaving the cities that want to start a family.
I mean, like
so
until this like change happens with like all of these failing like cities, like you're saying, like New York. A lot of people are leaving California. They're going to Texas. They're going to Florida. They're going to
Yeah.
these more tax friendly
Yeah.
states, but also like more suitable for a family. Like we see what's going on with California. Like the homelessness is just like absurd. Like what's going on down there, and it's just getting worse and worse. Like I don't think it's going to be cyclical until these policies like actually change, where these issues like go away. And like it's
Plus,
like very sad, but like I don't think a lot of people are going to be moving to California anytime soon until
yeah.
I
it's
could
changed.
disagree more. I could
Plus,
not
plus
disagree.
the money runs out, guys. You got to think of that too. There's not everybody doesn't just make, $200,000 overnight to afford these rising prices, right? The money, the people with the money it's gonna stop eventually. Not
Russ, what
everybody
are you
has the
saying
money.
there?
So, well, here's what I wanted to say was, well, one, I have 2 points. I think we're in real uncharted territory because we just saw the wealth gap that was already as wide as it could be, double if not triple over the last year because there were people that either did really fucking well during COVID or that did horribly, and people are also widely adopting Airbnb as they add hundreds of new features to make the process 10 times easier than it is right now to host families. We're going to see a lot of really rich people from China, a lot of really rich people from California and all over our country and all over Europe buy up all of these low to middle to even high class income houses that aren't. So my point is, like, normally what's going to happen, 2008 or any other time is like, yeah, people will be able to buy their houses. They'll get evicted. The price of the house will come down. People will buy. It's classic. It'll inflate and it'll happen again. But I personally think a lot of people have been making a lot of money and are waiting for these evictions. They've been waiting for these evictions because it's in your face, right? It's in your face that it's going to happen. It's been in our face since COVID. It just makes sense. And they're just waiting. And then they're going to buy the houses up and it's going to keep us at the same level we're at. And we're going to be in a really, really bad place for maybe all of the people besides you, Josh, who don't own houses yet. Now, also, I wanted to point out before we dissect what I just said, I don't think California will ever lose tenants. I have family who lives in California, and and they like to believe that as soon as one lump sum group leaves, one lump sum group is going to come back because it's paradise. It's the best part of our country, and people might not see that right now because they've never lived there. But it has perfect weather. You're right next to the water. It has the best food, and it doesn't have the best food. I think the East Coast has the best food, but it's paradise. The weather's there. It's not humidity. You have great all round year weather, and people are going to move back, especially if prices come down.
I agree. You're never going to get rid of California. I agree with that. Like it is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The food thing, absolutely not. You got to come to Cape Cod and actually eat some good food.
Oh yeah, that one I took back immediately. East Coast, especially Northeast food is by far the best. But I mean, you have great food in
You said you're a Philly guy. You got some good food down in Philly too.
Oh, you go to any restaurant in Center City, you will not miss. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're gonna pay for it. You don't find a meal under $10 in Center City, but like it's gonna be worth the money.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like the only reason why I said that, Russ, is because like, yeah, like California, like isn't their economy worth like $4 trillion, $5 trillion? Like that's worth more than like countries. Like it's like
it's one of the
largest.
Their economy, if it was a country, would be the 5th largest GDP in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy statistic. Yeah.
But like they're dealing with like massive irrigation problems. Like the money that their government or their governor is like putting into like all these different projects is like just not being used well. And like we're seeing these problems just get worse and worse, and like we see a snowball effect. And yeah, it's causing a lot of millennials to just leave California, not only because of the living style, but the tax situation too. Like they want to raise taxes in California too. Like we just saw HP, we saw Oracle. Like they're all leaving California to go to Texas. And like I don't know, like I just want to see change. Like that's all I was trying to say.
It's gonna be such a momentary, like it's one of those things where I feel like our media inflates the hell out of it. Like, oh my God, Tesla, Oracle, Google, they're all leaving California. Like millions and millions of people are going to leave California. And it's just like, I just think by the time they up and leave, everyone's houses will be sold and people will be moving right back in. I do agree that, first of all, I won't speak too much to their government policies. I don't live in California, but I do know there's tons of issues, especially with taxation. And maybe those will get fixed in time because like it's that rotation of cyclical, right? Like when people leave, like, okay, we need to do something to make people come back. So they'll bring certain things down, taxes down maybe. But I think in general, we're never going to see California lose its elegancy.
I hope you're right. I honestly, I'm pro America, so I hope you're right.
I hope I'm wrong, because how else am I going to get a place over there if it's
yeah. It's facts. Who doesn't want to live like right on the beach when there's so much stuff to do and everything like that? I know I want to live there, but there are a lot of issues coming up in California that keeps a lot of people away and people out, moving people out, and that includes taxes and everything. It's just really, really expensive to live there, unless you owned a house there like from the 80s or 90s, then you're sitting pretty, obviously. But as of right now, if you want to move into like a brand new house, it's very expensive.